Hello, this is Barry O'Connell, and tonight I'm going to take a look at the Prince George's County executive race. I'm calling it as down to the final three. We've got 9 Democrats running. We've got, well, I guess, 4 Republicans running. Let's face it, Republicans don't count in Prince George's County. There's no way a Republican's going to win a county executive race. It just doesn't happen. So we're going to take a look at the Democrats, and out of the 9 Democrats, it's down to 3. All right. I'm picking as number one Joline Ivey. This picture gives you an idea of who Joline Ivey is. There she is with President Obama, and he's shaking hands with Joe Stevenson. Yeah, that's Captain Joseph Stevenson. Um, I knew Joe. He's no longer with us. He was a good man. He was a nice guy. He came back from World War II a captain. A black man making captain in the U.S. Army in World War II was pretty darn good. You know, um, he was an exceptional individual. He came back, finished his education, went to work as a school teacher, and was teaching in public school in Prince George's County. Um, he had, he's Jolene's dad, and the first marriage didn't work out, and he took Jolene and he raised her, and then later on, the help of his stepmother. But Jolene grew up in a black family, in a black neighborhood, going to black schools. That's something important to understand about her. Um, Jolene's tough, and she's very genteel, but she's tough. It's steel in a velvet glove. That's who she is. And she learned a lot from her family, between her boys, her husband, her father, and there's just a lot to say about her. Let's take a look at this. Um, you know, when you're looking at who's Jolene, well, in the upper left-hand corner, you can see Jolene is more than just a candidate. She's not just a candidate. She's part of a team. She's the congressman's wife. She's a delegate's mother. She's got 5 sons. You know, um, they operate as a family. And that's very much who she is. Going down around this thing, lower left hand corner, we've got Steny Hoyer. Um, they've gotten particularly close. Now that Glenn is the congressman, um, Hoyer is behind Jolene. I think he's publicly announced. I'm pretty sure he has. If he hasn't, he will soon. Lower center. Um, Everybody loves Jolene, including Hakeem Jeffries. Um, People are just happy to see her because she's an honestly nice person. And top center, there's Glenn, her husband, with Angela also Brooks. You know, um, and then in the upper right we see Jolene with Chris Van Hollen. You know, she's been in the middle of things. She knows the players. She understands how to get things done. You know, please don't tell Glenn I said this, but I think she might be a little bit. No, I'm not going to say that. Let's just say they're equal. But Jolene's my favorite. Always. She's one of my favorite people in the whole world. And then let's go down to the lower right hand. Um, First of all, the mail in ballots, they're out. And that's going to tell you a lot about what this race is. Um, then let's go down the list of candidates. Somebody who was voting told me everyone in his household was voting for Jolene Ivey. Sent me a picture of his ballot, and thank you very much. It gives us a nice list. First, Rusher and Baker. You know, Baker's Baker's not Baker's a good guy in his own way. He is not a friendly person. He's not a people person. Um, he's not the sort of person you warm up and get friendly with. Either you you know I don't know how to describe it. I don't want to bash the guy. Um, I think he did a good job. Um, he's got some problems. He's got a very difficult time raising money. What we saw was that you know Aisha was up over $500,000. Jolene Had like 430,000 or something at the last report. Um, Calvin was over 300,000. Then Baker walks in with 108,000. I don't know. What am I supposed to say? People don't like to give Baker money. That's just who he is. That's sort of his brand, and maybe it's endearing to some people. But if you don't have the money, it's hard to run. Aisha Braveboy, we're going to talk more about her. She's a troubled candidate. Um, she would have been the front runner if this happened 2 years ago. She's not the front runner anymore. Um, she's got a training wheels problem. Okay, Marcellus Cruz hasn't caught on, just hasn't ignited yet. There's nothing wrong with them. There's a lot of these people who just aren't setting the world on fire. The voters aren't warming up to them. They're not making any waves. I'm not hearing anything. Um, It's quiet. Calvin Hawkins, he's barely hanging on to third place. He's hanging on by a thread. He'd probably be out of the race again, or at least moribund, if he hadn't gotten a big endorsement. We'll talk about that later. Ron Hunt, um, there's a feud going on from what I've heard. Ron Hunt was just starting to get his campaign going. He was starting to pull things together. And then out of the blue, Calvin Hawkins started making fun of him and called him a comedy club. Man, that stirred up a lot of trouble. Ron doesn't like being called a comedy club. There's nothing funny about his campaign. And we'll see how that goes between him and Calvin. We may see sparks fly again. Joline Ivey, I already picture as number one. Albert Slocum is a good guy who likes to run for office. He's run before. Um, I don't think he raised any money in the last cycle. 2024, I don't think he raised anything. I think he filed a zero report. Um, he's a good guy, though. Moisette Tonya Sweet. Um, she's probably in, let's see, sixth place, maybe. I mean, she's doing better than some, but she's way back. She raised a total of just over $2,500. She's barely in the race. She's barely got the supply. She's barely got anything. She paid for some signs and her filing fees, and she's still got 1,000 in the campaign fund. I wonder if she's saving that for the final days. But that's why I put it next to the mail-in ballots are out. What's Calvin waiting for? When's he going to start campaigning? The mail-in ballots are out. Tonya Sweet, um, the, what's she saving her money for? You know, the ballots are out. Is she a serious candidate? I don't know. And then Alonzo T. Washington. People honestly like him. They respect him. They think well of him. And I don't know a lot of people who think he's running for county executive. They think he's running for something. They think he's got a plan where he's going to use running for county executive to build up his name recognition or whatever. Maybe raise some money and build name recognition for running for something else. I don't know. He doesn't appear to be spending money, or at least not much. He doesn't appear to be campaigning hard, but people like him. He's a good guy. Um, Washington is thought to be running for something else. Calvin Hawkins, there's speculation that Calvin is running for something else. Calvin's a professional politician. He needs a job. He's term limited in 2 years. He's got something in mind. He's got a plan B. He knows he's not going to win the county executive race. So he's doing this to, build name recognition. Don't be surprised if Calvin doesn't spend his money, if he sits on it and finishes the campaign up with a big chunk of money left, which then he transition into the next race, whether it's a district council person or who knows, something else. Um, all right. Number two, as I'm calling it, number two is Aisha Braveboy. She's got problems. She's haunted by training wheels. She was part of that crowd. Um, they signed on to the David Trone campaign because David was going to just pour money all over their heads, sort of like a waterfall of money. She was going to get a campaign zeppelin that she could fly over Prince George's County with a loudspeaker saying how wonderful she was, or something like that. I don't know. It's um, Now the Trone people say that they lost because of training wheels. They lost because of, this little group of progressives that set out to kneecap Angela. They wanted to destroy Angela. They were going to just lay waste to her. The idea was that they would organize opposition to Angela in her home county so that David Trone could take the race, and then David Trone would give them money to run for whatever they wanted. And the training wheels comment, um, they were all saying it. It finally got really bad when Edward Burrows said it in a campaign ad, that Angela would need training wheels. You got to understand, David Trone has 6 years of experience in government. 6 years, that's it. No more, no, yet just 6 years. And he wasn't even very good at what he did. There's no David Trone bill, there's no big Trone accomplishments. He was just a go along, moderate Democrat from Western Maryland. Um, Angela had a lifetime working in public service. Um, she knew the ins and the outs. She had been a county executive. She had been a state's attorney. She had understood so much of what was going on. And they set out to destroy her by saying she needed training wheels. That's an insult to all black women. In fact, over 600 prominent black women from across the country said that the training wheels message was racist and misogynistic. It's not very often when you see blacks accusing other blacks of being racist and misogynistic. Aisha's got problems. Training wheels haunts her. Also, she's backing the maglev in the northern part of the county, where, you know, maglevs are a new technology. A train ripping through Prince George's County at 314 miles per hour. 314 miles per hour. That's a problem. Do you realize the sonic pressure that builds up? Do you realize the vibration, the chance for accidents, the chance for a train having some sort of an accident, exploding, and then taking out houses on both sides of the tunnel for a quarter mile in any direction? And then Aisha's got to answer for the mom found in the wall. You know, right hand side, beautiful young mother, mother of three. Her boyfriend walled her up inside a tomb and let her die in there. I don't think he even killed her first. I think he just walled her up and let her die. That's one of the problems is Aisha's made it a policy not to enforce the laws, and she's let a huge number of people go. In fact, the chief of police of Prince George's County said that frequently when they arrest somebody for carjacking, it's somebody that they've arrested for carjacking before, but Aisha let them go. Think about that. She let them go. So then we see beautiful young mothers killed because Aisha doesn't want to prosecute because it could hurt um, her win-loss record. She's a HOA attorney. She's not a criminal attorney. She might be a criminal, but she's not a criminal attorney. Um, there's a lot of dicey things about her. I have a feeling if they really investigated, they'd find some secrets there. How many more moms are going to die? How many more black women are going to be insulted with training wheels comments? And then in the lower center, you could see her campaign mascot. Good looking dog, right? This picture says it all about Calvin's campaign. Look at Calvin. He's frowning and looking sad. And Angela is like, what just happened? Did I endorse Calvin? What did I do? She looks like dazed and confused. It's like, where's the picture of them shaking hands? Where's the picture of them hugging? This is the picture from the Washington Post. And Calvin couldn't get a picture in there of him shaking hands with Angela after the endorsement. He couldn't get a picture of him smiling. He gets a picture of Angela looking dazed and confused. I mean, this is like the worst of all possible worlds endorsements. Um, Calvin's not ready. I mean, this guy didn't even know he had a mailing list. He hasn't sent out a mailer yet. Um, Aisha sent out three. Joline's already sent. Oh, let me mention something about Aisha. She sent out three from her campaign and one from the state's attorney's office. She sent out a campaign mailer um, that was supposed to be an informative piece from the state's attorney's office. Um, she's sleazy. I mean, she's. I'm not saying she's ugly. People always say, I say, Angela, that Aisha's ugly. I'm not saying she's a beautiful woman, as you can tell from her very attractive pictures. But she sent out a mailer from the state's attorney's office, which means the taxpayers paid for her campaign piece. So she's sent out four yet. Jolene's just started sending them out. She's already got one out. She's got some more underway. She's pacing her campaign. She's actually getting a big influx of money in this week. That's really nice for Jolene. It's good to see her get some serious bucks. But the picture on the left hand side, basically says it all. 40 years of armed robbery, drug dealing, womanizing, woman assaulting, taking illegal contributions, and much more. How many second chances does Calvin want? How many second chances does he expect? He's been a wild man breaking the law for the last 43 years. He was arrested 43 years ago for armed robbery, and he spent time in prison for it. So we've got Calvin with 43 years of breaking the law, and he's not slowing down a bit. There's a rumor going now about him getting overly frisky. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I'm hearing that um, one of his council office workers left because she was felt that she was being um, sexually harassed at the workplace. That's who Calvin is. You know, this guy's got a zipper problem. He had a drug problem. Let's hope that's all gone. Going back to his drug dealing, gun waving, armed robbery days. Now he's up. He's still assaulting women. That's who Calvin is. That's the problem. Calvin's just barely hanging on to third place, even with Angela's endorsement. And I think she set this whole endorsement up was to pay off Calvin for all the help he gave her without doing enough to make him a contender. And that's it for the show.